Book of Heaven, Volume 11. 1 April to 25 May 1916. Page 123 to 129. April 1, 1916. One who really loves Jesus and does His will, forms one single heartbeat with Him. However, in order to achieve this, perfect stripping is needed. This morning my sweet Jesus made Himself seen in my heart, and His heartbeat was beating in mine. I looked at Him, and He told me, "My daughter, for the one who really loves me and does my will in everything, her heartbeat and mine become one. So I call them my heartbeats, and I want them as such, around and even inside the heartbeat of my heart, all intent to console me, and sweeten all my sorrowful heartbeats. Her heartbeat in mine will form a sweet harmony, which will repeat for me all my life, and will speak to me of souls, forcing me to save them. But, my daughter, what stripping is required to be the echo of my heartbeat? It must be a life more of heaven than of earth, more divine than human. Even one shadow, one tiny thing is sufficient to prevent the soul from feeling the strength, the harmonies, the sanctity of my heartbeat. So she is not the echo of my heartbeat, she does not harmonize together with me, and I am forced to remain alone in my sorrow and in my joys. And I receive these sorrows from souls who knows how much they had promised me. But when it came to the decisions, I was left disappointed by their promises. April 15, 1916. Jesus is the Word which multiplies in every act of all creatures, together with the one who lives in His volition. I was dying because of the continuous privations of my sweet Jesus. This morning I found myself completely in Jesus, as if I were swimming in the immensity of my highest good. Then, I looked inside myself and I saw Jesus in me. I could hear the whole being of Jesus speaking. His feet, His hands, His heart, His mouth, in sum, everything. Not only were they voices, but the wonder is that these voices became immense, multiplying themselves for every creature. The feet of Jesus spoke to the feet and to each step of the creatures, His hands to their works, His eyes to their glances, His thoughts to each one of their thoughts. What harmonies between Creator and creatures! What an enchanting sight! What love! But, alas, all these harmonies were broken by ingratitudes and sins. Love was repaid with offenses. And Jesus, all afflicted, told me, "My daughter, I am the Word, and my love toward the creature is so great that I multiply myself into as many voices for as many acts, thoughts, affections, desires, etc. as each creature does, in order to receive from them the return of those acts done for love of me. I give love and I want love, but I receive offenses instead. I give life, but if they could, they would give me death. But in spite of all this, I continue my loving office. However, know that the soul who lives united with me and from my volition, swimming in my immensity, becomes one voice together with me. Therefore, if she walks, her steps speak, pursuing the sinner. Her thoughts are voices to the minds, and so on with everything else. Only from these souls do I find my reward, beginning with the work of creation. And in seeing that, unable to do anything by themselves to correspond to my love and maintain the harmonies between myself and them, they enter into my will, taking ownership and acting in a divine manner. My love finds its outpouring and I love them more than all other creatures. April 21, 1916. The privation of Jesus which Luisa suffers. The sins of the world have surrounded the most holy humanity of Jesus with thorns, preventing Him from pouring His grace upon creatures. I continue my most bitter days. I fear that some day Jesus may not even come in passing, and in my pain I keep repeating, "Jesus, don't do this to me. If you don't want to speak, so be it. If you don't want to give me the gift of your charisms, fiat. But not coming at all, not this. You know that it would cost me my life, and that my very nature, left without you until evening, would melt." As I was saying this, blessed Jesus, increasing my bitterness, made Himself seen telling me, "Know that if I do not come to pour myself out with you for a little while, it is because the world is receiving the last blow of destruction and all sorts of scourges. What fright! I remained terrified and petrified for the pain. So I continued to pray, saying, "My Jesus, for every moment of your privation I ask you that a new life of yours be created within the souls. You must give me this grace. Only on this condition do I accept your privation. I don't deprive myself of a trifle, but of you, immense, infinite, eternal good. The cost is immense. Therefore, let's come to a deal." Jesus stretched his arms around my neck, as if he were accepting. And looking at him, what a painful sight! Not only his head, but all his most holy humanity was surrounded by thorns, to the extent that I was pricked in hugging him, but I wanted to enter into Jesus at any cost. And he, all goodness, broke that garment of thorns at the point of his heart, and placed me inside. I could see the divinity of Jesus, and although his divinity was one with his humanity, while his humanity was tortured, his divinity remained untouchable. Jesus told me, "My daughter, have you seen what a painful garment creatures made for me, and how these thorns have penetrated into my humanity? These thorns have closed the door to the divinity, having surrounded all my humanity, only from which could my divinity come out for the good of creatures. Now it is necessary that I remove part of these thorns, and that I pour them on the creatures so that, as the light of my divinity flows from these thorns, I may save their souls. Therefore, it is necessary that the earth be invested by chastisements, earthquakes, famines, wars, etc., in order to break this garment of thorns that creatures made for me. In this way, as the light of the divinity penetrates into their souls, I will be able to disillusion them, and to make better times arise." April 23, 1916. Every thought on the Passion of Jesus is a light drawn from his most holy humanity in order to be like him. Continuing in my usual state, my adorable Jesus made himself seen all surrounded with light, which came out from his most holy humanity, and which embellished him in such a way as to form an enchanting and enrapturing sight. I remained surprised, and he told me, "My daughter, each pain that I suffered, every drop of blood, every wound, prayer, word, action, step, etc., produced a light within my humanity, to embellish me in such a way as to keep all the blessed enraptured. Now, for every thought that the creature has about my passion, for every act of compassion, reparation, etc., she does nothing other than draw light from my humanity, and be embellished to my likeness. Therefore, every additional thought about my passion will be an additional light which will bring her eternal joy." May 3, 1916. Universal Prayer. How Jesus prayed in the Divine Will. While I was praying, my adorable Jesus placed himself close to me, and I could hear that he too was praying. So I began to listen to him. Jesus told me, "My daughter, pray, but pray as I pray. Pour yourself entirely into my will, and you will find God and all the creatures in it. You will give them to God as if they were one single creature, because the divine volition is the owner of all. Then you will place at the feet of the divinity the good acts in order to give honor to it, and the bad ones in order to repair for them through the sanctity, power and immensity of the divine will, from which nothing can escape." This was the life of my humanity upon earth. As holy as it was, I still needed this divine volition in order to give complete satisfaction to the Father, and to redeem the human generations. In fact, only in this divine volition could I find all generations, past, present and future, and all their thoughts, words, acts, etc., as though in act. In this holy will, I took all the thoughts into my mind. Nothing could escape me, and for each one of them in particular I placed myself before the Supreme Majesty and I repaired them. In this same will, I descended into the mind of each creature, giving them the good which I had pleaded for their intelligences. In my glances I took the eyes of all creatures, their words in my voice, their movements in my movements, their works in my hands, their steps in my feet, their affections and desires in my heart, and making them my own. In the divine will my humanity satisfied the Father, and I saved the poor creatures. And the divine Father remained satisfied. He could not reject me, he himself being the holy will. Would he perhaps reject himself? Certainly not. More so, since in these acts he found perfect sanctity, unreachable and enrapturing beauty, highest love, immense and eternal acts, invincible power. This was the whole life of my humanity upon earth, which continues in heaven and in the most blessed sacrament. Now, why can't you also do this? For one who loves me, united with me, everything is possible. In my will, pray and bring before the Divine Majesty the thoughts of all within your thoughts, the glances of all in your eyes, in your words, movements, affections and desires, those of your brothers, in order to repair them and plead light, grace and love for them. In my will you will find yourself in me, and in all, you will live my life, and will pray with me. The Divine Father will be happy, and the whole of heaven will say, "Who is calling us from earth? Who is the one who wants to compress this holy will within herself, enclosing all of us together? And how much good the earth can obtain, making heaven descend upon earth." May 25, 1916. The current war will intensify, and Italy will be invaded. How Jesus cultivates the soul, so that she may produce fruit. Continuing in my usual state, I was all afflicted, especially because in the past days blessed Jesus had shown me how foreign soldiers were invading Italy, the great massacre of our soldiers, and rivers of blood at sight of which Jesus himself remained horrified. I felt my poor heart bursting with pain, and I said to Jesus, "Save my brothers, your images, from this lake of blood. Do not permit that any soul plunge into hell." In seeing that the divine justice will ignite its fury even more against the poor creatures, I felt like dying. Almost to distract me from such tormenting scenes, Jesus told me, "My daughter, my love for the creatures is so great that as soon as the soul decides to give herself to me, I surround her with so much grace. I caress her, I move her, I pick her up, I provide her with sensible graces, fervor, inspirations, squeezes to my heart." So, in seeing herself graceful, the soul begins to love me, forming like a foundation of prayers and pious practices inside her heart, and she begins to exercise the virtues. All this forms a flowery field in the soul. But my love is not happy just with flowers, it wants fruits. So it begins to make the flowers fall, that is, it strips her of sensible love, of fervor and of everything else, in order to make the fruits be born. If the soul is loyal, she continues her pious practices, her virtues, and she has no taste for any other human thing, not thinking about herself, but only of me. With trust in me, she will give flavor to the fruits. With loyalty, she will let them mature. And with courage, tolerance and tranquility, they will grow and become rich fruits. And I, the celestial farmer, will pick these fruits and make of them my food. Then I will plant another field, more flowery and beautiful, in which heroic fruits will grow, such as to pull unheard of graces from my heart. But if she is unfaithful, mistrustful, agitated, and has a taste for human things, etc., these fruits will be unripe, insipid, bitter, covered with mud, and will serve to embitter me and to make me withdraw from the soul.